Hey, HR friends, welcome back. We're in the 4-6 emotional 6.5 day sequence, and we're here to talk about day four. Day four is right here in this white rectangle. Now, as always, we start out by talking about this unseen pattern of electromagnetics. You see, we broke the mathematics of the sentient space time reality we coexist within. And when we broke this mathematical construct, it allowed us to map out this electromagnetic sequence. Now, super important for you to understand the sequence because when it elevates, it actually activates our defensive design. You see, we're emotional beings and we're supposed to work through our emotions in positive ways. But the problem is this: when this pattern elevates, it tries to convince us to do one of two things, and it uses our feelings to do this. It makes us try to run away from our problems, or it makes us try to stand up and fight for our problems in ways that make them worse. You see, we have a fight or flight mechanism hardwired into our body, and it's a reflexive mechanism that's activated when this pattern elevates. Now, we always warn you about a number four. If any of these patterns, first person, third person, are combined, reach a number four, well, that's a lot of agitation. And when you start to get agitated and all the people around you get agitated, well, this pattern of unseen chaos, that's exactly what it does, is it organizes all of that negativity. Now, if you want to stop negativity, if you want to stop the stress that's making your life difficult, you have to understand when this pattern's going to elevate. Now, it's not going to stop how you feel. Preparing for when you're going to feel defensive will help you override, and make sure that you stay calm, cool, and collective, and you work out your problems and you don't create new stress. Now, if you do this, there's some things that it's going to do for you immediately. One is it's going to slow the aging process. You reduce stress, you reduce aging. The other thing is if you can stop the overall accumulation of stress in your life, you can start to limit the progression of disease and prevent future states of disease. That's how important this pattern is. Now, again, we are in a sentient space-time reality. We only exist, and this is the challenge, the first challenge that we have to overcome in this existence. Now, there's something else we're supposed to be doing here too, and we're going to briefly talk about that. So, in this sentient space-time reality, there are frequencies that look over or govern us, and we've simplified this. We've connected the governing frequencies to the quadrants of your body. Now, if you want your body to be healthy, it's this simple. You have to balance with these frequencies. What does that mean? Well, this is what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be getting along with every member of our team. You see, in the sentient space-time reality, we're born sons or daughters, every one of us, and we're born into families. Now, because of our defensive design, it's very difficult for us to get along with our family members, and it's very difficult for all the families we coexist with to agree and get along as well. And what that's done is it's created this huge division where we've been over-investing in individual and family strategies. Again, this is because our defensive design. Now, this is just how it works. We didn't know. Now we do. We have the math. We confirm what this is. We can confirm what we're supposed to be doing. And knowing this is everything because it can change everything. And this is why. So, first of all, we overcome this pattern up here. If you overcome these polarity moments that are trying to manipulate and control you through your defensive negative reactions, well, then it becomes a lot easier to get along with your teammates. Now, if you can commit to your teammates, and when you commit to your teammates, this is what you commit to: good communication, cooperation, help them alleviate their stress, and start to strategize and talk about how to balance our routines as individuals and how to balance our routines together. See, that's the other part of this. We are expected to contribute to this overall experience. And each one of us is expected to make sure that whatever we invest at the family level not only helps our family, but every family. What we invest at the individual level doesn't just help us as an individual, it helps all the individuals we exist with. At the national level, we have to take pride and invest in our nations, but we also have to help lift the other nations around us. We need all the nations equal and balanced. And when we do that, we're going to create a peaceful and prosperous world for all of us. That's the objective. End of story. That's what this is all about. You can believe anything you want, but we only exist to try to overcome our defensive design, get along with our teammates, and then commit to balancing our routines. You see, this is a mental, emotional, and physical challenge. First thing is you have to use your mental rhythms to overcome your emotional feelings to be defensive and to make things worse. And then once you understand how to start to get along, then you have to integrate your mental rhythms with your physical actions. You see, just knowing how this works and understanding what you should do, that's not enough. The physical part is actually doing it. So that's mending relationships and that's changing routines. Now, I hate to tell you, but every single one of us is going to have to make some changes here. And in order for us to be in balance with our routines, this is what has to happen. Future generations have to be given better experience than the one we had, meaning that we take care of our planet. We take care of our communities and our societies. And every future generation that's born into them is born into an equal and better world. Now, if you're contributing in a way where it helps you more than it's going to help the future generations, well, you can understand you're out of balance and you can understand how many of us have been doing that. So, this is going to create a lot of change here. And the hardest change is going to be letting go of our self destructive routines that we've decided are good for us, but can't be replicated and don't make it good for everybody. All right. Now, here's what happens if you don't do these things. So, if you don't get along with your teammates on this left side, or you're not balancing your routines, the ones that you struggle the most with, well, that's the quadrants of your body you're going to struggle the most with. So, if you've ever wondered why certain people have right lower quadrant dysfunction or upper left quadrant dysfunction, and you're wondering why everybody ages at a little different speed, this is why. We are being governed by frequencies. The more unbalanced our relationships are, the faster we age, the more we get disease states in these quadrants. The more unbalanced our routine is, the faster we age, the more we get disease states. That's how this works. Now, if you commit to your team and you commit to balancing your routine, you can slow age to a crawl. You can stop the progression of disease, and best of all, you get out of this negative feedback loop. You see, in space time reality, there's a reward. You can exist in a negative existence or a positive existence, and we're in the negative one right now. To get out of the negative existence, you have to commit to the team, you have to balance your routine. If you do that, and you do it consistently until your last day in this simulated reality, you graduate. You get out of the negative, you go to the positive. Think of it like a mathematical heaven. And in this sense, you're in a positive feedback loop. It's worth the effort. It's way better than the way we learn here, which is we're tricked into fighting and we suffer, and that's how we learn. Okay, now that you understand what this is and you understand the rewards and why you would want to do it, well, let's prove it to you. So that's what the zoomed in day 4 is. We really zoom in the electromagnetics here and we synchronize it with the times. Now, the times also are synchronized with all 24 time zones. So come down here, find your time zone offset. Once you have your proper offset, this will hold for 10 seconds. Screenshot it. Now you've got it on your phone all day long, and this is for people that don't have access to internet all day long. If you have access to internet and you have that at your disposal, then you open up our webpage, health3connected.com. We've got a live feed. There's a time bar that goes through this sequence. And the first way we prove this to you is you pay attention. When you get defensive and want to argue, when people around you get defensive and want to argue, you are going to see that it's in these moments of peace. That's what happens. We are being manipulated. We just didn't know it. Again, this is an unseen pattern. We know we're sentient beings. We just didn't know there was an unseen pattern that was trying to manipulate us. And really, what it's doing is it's organizing us. This is how we make such accurate predictions because when this pattern goes up, well, social tension is going to go up. When this pattern goes down, well, then we know social tension is going to go down. So it becomes very easy to predict when things are going to go a little sideways. Now, we want you to use this graph to know when you're going to be stressed out in first person. These are the things that are going to stress you out about all the people you see on a day-to-day basis, your family members, your coworkers, your community members. Third person stress, that's all about the bigger picture and what individuals invest in and what they argue about and what they want to see happen at the larger level. Now, both of these things, they're traps. It's just trying to get you to argue and fight with the people around you when the truth is the only thing you should be fighting is your defensive design. This pattern is what's fighting you, and it's not fighting you fair. It's tricking you into fighting yourself. That's what it's doing. And the more you fight with the people around you, the more and quicker you destroy yourself. That's how this works. Now, this next 24-hour period, we've got still a little bit of remnant going on here, okay? We had a mental polarity flip that happened in the first 24 hours, and you can see there's still a little elevation here. And then in the second 12 hours, there is quite a hiccup that we've got in first person. Now, when we look at third person, there's a couple up and downs here. And we do get to the 4 level here in both first and third person. And when we look at the combined, in the first 12 hours, definitely hit a 4. In the second 12 hours, we're at a 4 and above it. So this is really where you want to pay attention. This is where you're going to see defensive things happening. Now, the second way we prove this to you is through these alignments. Alignments are when two frequencies come together and they create an amplified moment. Now, a blue alignment, that is going to test us on how well we balance with our teammates. Purple alignment, that's going to test us on how well we're balancing our routines. So let's just start with these. We're going to talk about the PE first. This is an hour and a half alignment. It's going to check or test the right lower quadrants. And what this means is, are you able to get along with the younger members of the team? See, The red and the orange, these are the younger levels. So if it's the lower part of the body, that's the younger members. Upper part of the body, that's the older members, the mothers and the fathers. Now, it doesn't matter if they're younger or older. Again, this is what we have to do. We have to be able to communicate. We have to be able to cooperate. We have to be able to help each other alleviate stress, bring the team together. And we have to talk about how to balance our routines. If you are not talking about your routines, if you're not encouraging other people to balance their routines, I hate to tell you, you're out of balance. That's just what has to happen here. So not only do we have to communicate and cooperate, but we have certain things that we need to be talking about. And that's how you do well with your teammates. If you can communicate and cooperate, but you can't help people understand the importance of balancing their routines, well, that's not really a good team relationship. We need everyone on the team doing that. Now, when we go to the next alignment here, it's this EE. It's an hour and a half alignment. This is going to test the upper right quadrant. Same thing we just talked about, except this is with the older members of the team. You see whether it's male or female, well, that's different to deal with people, and whether they're older or younger, that can be different as well. You need to be well versed in all of those things. It shouldn't matter what their gender is, and it shouldn't matter what their age is. You should be able to communicate with them and do all those things. If you can't, the more unbalanced your relationships are, the more you're going to feel it when the time bar goes through these alignments and it's telling you the quadrants that you're going to feel. So if you wonder why your pain shifts around all day long, well, that's because this testing schedule, it's constantly shifting. It's like a pop quiz, and we're giving you the heads up and when it's going to come. This is the low-hanging fruit. This is where we can really point out that you're in a biofeedback system. When you're in balance with these frequencies, you get positive feedback. When you're out of balance with these frequencies, you get negative feedback. That's how this works. All right, so next one we're going to talk about is the EE right here. This is on the time side. So this is about balancing routines. Now, when it's on the routines, it's the smaller ones down here, family and individual, the larger ones up here, national and world. And you can see that this is going to be testing the right upper quadrant, and this wants to know what you're doing at the larger level. Are you contributing at the larger level to make sure that our societies are balanced with what you're doing in investing? Are you helping make sure that future generations are going to have more resources and that our climate's going to be stable? If you have routines that are not doing that, where it's going to leave this world and our environment in more disarray, then you're out of balance. The more out of balance your routines are, the more you're going to feel it in this left upper quadrant. So this is the last one we're going to talk about, this PE. It's 1.25 hours long. This is going to test the same thing. This is going to be world routine. So we've got a world and national going on here side by side. It's going to affect the upper. And this has to do, again, with how you're contributing at that larger level. If you are not leaving the larger level better for all individuals and all families that share this world, you're going to have problems. The more out of balance you are, the more problems you're going to have. All right, so that's it for alignments. Now let's move down here and we're going to talk about a testing sequence. So the testing sequence shows how many frequencies are testing any given quadrant at any period of time. And when you look at this and when the time bar goes through, you're going to see that all the quadrants are being tested a little differently, depending on the day and depending on the time. This upper left quadrant's at the 4. Okay, so 4 is kind of the tipping point. If it's over a 4, that's a lot. If it's under a 4, not so much. So left upper is pretty much at a 4 all day. You can see right upper, well, that's at a 4 and above a 4, a little bit heavier here. You can see left lower below that 4. And you can see right lower starts at the 4 and then drops down. So this is definitely a heavier day for upper quadrant stuff. Do not be surprised in the next 24 hours if you're feeling that a little bit more. Now, these two graphs split it up and show us where the strongest frequencies are. We call these the macro frequencies. These 10 strong frequencies don't move. They sit where they're at for the whole 24 hours. So this is going to kind of give you an idea. If you feel something and it lasts the whole 24 hours, you know it's one of these macros. And then how we look at this graph is we look to see where there's overlap and where there isn't. So in this day, you can see right here, there are two influences that are in third person. So if you get left upper quadrant pain during this 24-hour time, you can see there's no really strong first person, which is teammates. You know darn well it's your routines that are out of balance. Same thing here when we look at this. If we look at first person in the lower left, you can see there's one macro sitting here. There's none on this one, which means if you get left lower quadrant pain, we know you're having problems with teammates. Now, what we're trying to do here is we're trying to help you understand where you need to invest first. Not everyone's the same. Some people are going to do better with teammates and they're not going to do so good with routines. Some people are going to do better with routines and not so good with teammates. This is just a great way for you to start to understand what this is. Now, don't overcomplicate this. Commit to your team, commit to balanced routine, and you won't have to care about this stuff. But in the beginning, we want to give you all the advantage you can possibly have. We want you to get better as fast as possible, and we want you to make as much progress as quickly as possible. That's why we created the software. That's what we're trying to help you do. All right, so let's end this thing up. This is the electromagnetic guide for the rest of 2024. We got the summer and the fall season. No more mystery. This is the electromagnetic pattern. When it goes up, social tension goes up. When it falls, social tension falls. We show this to individuals because what we want you to do is start to prepare for it. And the more prepared you are for these up and down movements, and when you don't become agitated, you eliminate the stress. And it helps you and it helps the people around you. And the more people we can help, you'd see one or two people doing this, that doesn't make a difference. We get regions and nations of people doing this. We can change everything. That's what we're here to do. We're here to smooth out this pattern. We're here to take the ups and downs out and make it peaceful and prosperous for all of us, but we can't do it without your commitment, and we've made this as simple as possible. Let us help you. We'll see you in the next 24 hours.